governance is a governance that complies with IMF or World Bank. Anything else outside that, even if your people are benefiting, you are not a good leader. Actually, you are a dictator.
You are watching Van TV Media, your favorite channel.
Do you know how the whites controls Africa? How the whites get away the minerals from Africa and go with it to benefit themselves? And do you know how Africans remain poor? Just listen to this speech from Malema and we will see and we will know how we Africans, we are suffering in the hands of the whites. Africa are not recognized as being a democracy country if you are not a member of IMF, if you are not a member of World Bank. I saw this speech from Julius Malema and I know and I understood something on how we Africa, we are suffering in the hands of whites. We have few African leaders who came up to save their motherlands, but those leaders were taken away because of them fighting for their motherlands. You can remember Sankara, you can remember Gaddafi. Those are some of the leaders who came up to save their motherland, but they end up being finished in the hands of whites. Right now we have a leader from Burkina Faso whom people are watching. This is the guy whom people are watching. The way the guy is taking his leadership in the country. The way this guy is leading his people in the country. Since this guy started leading the people of Burkina Faso, the country is now having rapidly developments. The country is now moving smooth in the hand of Captain Ibrahim Traore. So I may take you to this clip of Malema and comment down below. You tell us what is your understanding on this speech, and remember, don't forget to subscribe to this channel so that in case we do have any topic, you'll be the first one to get on.
Never be a discussion about the security and good governance in Africa without acknowledging the damage that has been caused by colonizers and the imperialist forces. Africa's inability to be peace with herself, it is necessitated by the fact that colonialists want to exploit our minerals without being held accountable. It is the colonialists who are corrupting the leadership of Africa and making sure that those who are not corrupt are replaced by the corrupt puppets who will allow colonialism to continue in the African continent. Any battle you can imagine anywhere in the continent, it has got everything else to do with those who colonized us before. Today, they want to choose who are the leaders for African people. As we stand here today, Gaddafi should be an enemy of our people, according to the declaration of the Western imperialism, because Gaddafi stood for our people. Today, Mugabe, who was a darling, if you think Mandela was loved, you must revisit your history and check when Mugabe was becoming the president of Zimbabwe after the defeat of Rhodesia. He was the most celebrated man. He was loved by everybody until he started questioning the issue of the land, that the land must be transferred from the colonizer to the people of Zimbabwe. But when he was not advocating for that, especially after the Lancaster Resolution, they thought he's one such a gentleman who will allow them to do as they wish, until he realized that he was going to pass on without transferring the means of production into the hands of our people. Today, every African leader who served for a very long time in Africa, we are told is a fascist, is undemocratic. This person is a dictator. But such words were never said about Queen Elizabeth, who ruled for more than 50 years. And it's not just monarchy, like a Zulu monarchy or Abatembu monarchy. It's a monarchy that has got powers on the political systems of Britain. There is no any prime minister in Britain who can proceed with anything else political without the go-ahead of the Queen, now the King. No one of those prime ministers can declare a war. Only the Queen or the King can declare a war. But that person has never been democratically elected. That person has got no term of office. They serve until the grave, and they are not called fascists and dictators. They do so with our leaders because they want to impose on us the imperialist bourgeois democracy. That democracy is when you go for 5 years and you are done. But as young people who are engaged in this space, you have a duty to ask yourself, how did we govern ourselves in the earlier primitive society before the arrival of the colonialists? And we're not asking here of an ancient history. Very recent, you'll realize that we were able to govern ourselves without being dictated to by the white people in terms of how we must govern ourselves. Today, we must be told that a good governance is a governance that complies with IMF or World Bank. Anything else outside that, even if your people are benefiting, you are not a good leader. Actually, you are a dictator. Let's go back to Gaddafi himself before he was killed by imperialist forces. Gaddafi nationalized the oil industry when he took over Libya. And he made sure that the people of Libya receive free health care and housing. The people of Libya actually used to get a piece of land for getting married. That's why many of you will remain single, because you realize there's going to be a problem here. Immediately when Gaddafi died, we saw Africans being taken by force in Libya as slaves, even post-colonial period. After Gaddafi died, Libya, which we're told it was under dictatorship and the most brutal man, has never known peace. It is under the group of warlords. It is under the group of terrorists, under the militia, and the people who are forcing themselves into power through a barrel of a gun. Today, one of the most unstable countries is DRC. Lumumba did not serve too long, because when Lumumba came in, they realized that this guy is going to create independence in the DRC, where the most strategic minerals are found. Since the passing of Lumumba till to date, DRC has never known peace. They will never know peace because those who are exploiting the resources of that area are the ones who are sponsoring the rebels in that area. They don't want authorities in DRC, because authorities will mean that we must also control the airspace of Libya. And when you control the airspace, you know which plane came in to do what and went out at what time. They are sponsoring rebels, doing land strips in the forests where they land and take the minerals undetected and leave DRC. Today, DRC was supposed to be one of the most richest countries, but the imperialist forces will not allow it to be. So Sankara was killed. And when you think Sankara was killed by his friend, that one was just the one who pulled the trigger. But there are brains behind that man who pulled the trigger, who, by the way, was a friend of Sankara. Burkina Faso would have been one of the most beautiful countries in Africa had Sankara lived long. The man who said to his people, here is the land, you must produce for the government and produce for yourself. Sankara who loved education. Sankara who gave our people health care. Sankara who knew that there will never be total liberation of people if women are not liberated themselves. Sankara who knew that a political activist must be equipped with theory of politics, because a soldier with a gun without political theory is a potential criminal. That's why political education is always important. Sankara who said, I'm not going to be part of borrowing money from IMF and the World Bank. So these leaders, I'm singling some of them out because I want to demonstrate to you that those who seeked good for us did not stay long. If you come to South Africa, Chris Sani's crime was not because he killed anyone, was not because he was mobilizing anyone. Chris was just speaking his mind. Not because he went to mobilize the people of Alexandra, not because he went to mobilize the people of Eastern Cape against what the negotiations was talking about. He just said, this is not what we went into the bush for. If we are going to take it through a barrel of a pen and we don't fight, then you must know we'll never realize that which we went to the bush for. And they realized that this man cannot be persuaded, not even by money. And they did not waste time. They finished him off. Because when we were negotiating for our democracy and thinking it's a peaceful transition from resistance to democracy, we actually found our leaders negotiating deals instead of negotiating for democracy. You need to go and do a research and ask yourself, when did the Vodafone deal come into South Africa? Vodafone. There were no cell phones. Vodafone was not here. Vodafone was negotiating with the apartheid regime just before the negotiations for democracy started. When the negotiators realized that, amongst other things, these people are talking about a wireless phone which is coming to South Africa, they stopped the negotiations and went to Vodafone, or you are talking to wrong people. We are going to take over after these people. Come this side, and even if you insist on that deal with those people, when we come in, we are going to cancel that deal. Go and check out who were the black people who were part of a deal of Vodafone, what you call Vodacom today. And you must ask, once you know their names, then go and check what was their role in the negotiations. Then you'll have an answer why we are where we are. They didn't have to kill them. They just have to corrupt them and give them the necessary resource to undermine the African struggle.
Yeah, you've heard from Julius Malema. It seems if you are not the member of IMF, if you don't associate with IMF and World Bank, you don't have democracy. In case you don't associate in any of those IMF and World Bank, you are not democracy country. This is the speech that we have got from Julius Malema. In the country which you are in right now, you can just comment for us. Do you believe in Julius Malema's speech? And what can we do as African people? What can we do as Africans, black Africans, to control our country, to save our country from foreigners, to save our country from whites? Because these whites are coming up to destroy our country. These whites are coming up to make us poor. These whites don't want to see Africa proceeding, or these whites don't want to see Africa having knowledge on how to control its resources. These whites are the one who controls Africa, and they are the one who have made Africans to remain poor. If you have any comment, you can just drop your comment and tell us, what can you do? What can you do in your hands to save this, to save your country wherever you are? And which support can you support this young man called Ibrahim Traore for saving his country, for saving his people of Burkina Faso? Just drop your comment and tell us what is your opinion on that, because you can see Julius Malema had made had made a serious speech about this issue. Guys, if you've not subscribed the channel, subscribe the channel and turn on the notification bell, and let us meet in the next episode.